So was this necessary, even if it was a no-brainer politically? Joining me now, Georgia Republican member of Congress, Dr. Rich McCormick. It's good to see you, Doc.
Hey, good to see you too. Thanks for the dessert the other day.
Oh, listen, happy birthday to your son. You're a good man. You're a good dad. Happy to support you. I cannot argue the optics on this. Politically, I get why Trump had a majority of people in the country agree with him. But the numbers are so small, Doc. And you know, I don't have to tell you as a clinician, you're dealing with a population of people who are already very put upon, very bullied. Are you worried that this may do more harm than good?
No, not at all. And as a matter of fact, I have great compassion for people who have mental disorders. And when I went to medical school and when I went to my residency, we talked about this as a psychosomatic disorder, where you think that you're something that you're not, plain and simple. But the question is, when you have somebody who thinks that there's something that they're not, does that mean that your daughter, and granted, let's say it only affects 40 people per race, do you want the female record smashed? Do you want the scholarships to go to males instead of females? Do you want the awards and the podium to have some 6'4" guy instead of some woman who's trained her entire life for that one moment in time to make the Olympic team? She literally, we were at a meeting today and she said, look, we had a 6'4" guy with his junk in the locker room, feet from my face, getting changed in the locker room amongst a bunch of women who didn't want to get naked in front of him. Is that okay? Okay, maybe it's 40 people, maybe it's one person. I tell you what, I don't want that to happen to any of my daughters, and I don't even have daughters. I just think any common sense person understands that that's wrong. We've never in our society thought that this was okay. Not for one person, not for 40 people, not for 100 people. It's the wrong thing, and you just do the right thing when you have the chance to correct a law that's wrong.
Well, this doesn't correct the law, right? It's an executive order. You know you're going to have litigation. We'll see how it goes. It affects Title IX. It affects accommodations. The executive can't do this unilaterally. At a minimum, it's going to take you guys. And I don't know that this is a priority for you guys. I actually thought that the thrust would be government funding for children who are having surgeries that are part of transitioning. I actually thought that would be the place for the administration to make a stand. Why not?
Well, actually, I have a bill on that. And I think that, especially for minors,
that's why I'm asking you.
Age 18 should not be allowed to get any sort of surgeries or hormones. If you think about that, it's irreversible damage to somebody who's already struggled with a mental disorder. You don't even let tattoos happen to minors. I just think it's the wrong thing. You're talking about a permanent change. You can't undo it. And we've had multiple studies that start with UCLA and people who are trans, who are suicidal. Up to 40%, about 40% of all trans try to commit suicide. And it is indeterminate whether it has anything to do with any sort of oppression or making fun of somebody. They found people who don't even feel that are still trying to commit suicide. And guess what? After they transition, they still have that. And plus, add on that the regret. We're not solving their problems by pretending that there's something that they are not, and they get that too. Once they do all the hormones, all the surgeries, they still have the underlying condition that makes them feel unhappy about who they are. And that's the problem that needs to be addressed, not some psychosomatic idea that we're going to feed into it and pretend that there's something that they aren't, and that all of a sudden they're going to be happy because I pretended that you're a tiger or a dog or a boy or a 12-year-old or whatever you think you are. That doesn't make you happy. That's a disorder that we need to address, be compassionate for it. And that's all I want. I want common sense, compassion based on medicine and science, not on some fantasy land that we're protecting somebody like it was the Selma Bridge, and that we're turning fire hoses on people and disallowing them to get housing loans and treating them unfairly somehow with the legal system. That's not what's happening here. We shouldn't warp what actually is at hand.
Well, that's the last part is definitely true because, again, I don't think Trump can do this unilaterally. But we'll see because it's going to be litigated. And I appreciate you making the case here, as always, Dr. Rich McCormick. Congressman, thank you very much for being with us.
Always a pleasure.